Ningen Fushin is an anime that recently dropped with seemingly no audience there for it. Like, I saw nobody on my feed, YouTube and Twitter talking about this at all. The only time someone brought it up was when the animation was trash. I think when most people looked at the trailer, they just skipped it because they thought it was an isekai.
Is this an isekai? Did he get isekai'd, or are there just idols in this fantasy world?
Because people are so burnt out on those, which I can't really blame them, because most of them are either really bad or really mid, and then there's a rare gem, which most usually just end up skipping over for the trash anyway. Why did nobody watch this? It was pretty good. There's also this other one, which was pretty good. Why do people skip that one? Adapted from a manga that was adapted from a light novel. Animated by Geek Toys, who, besides animating the newer seasons of Date Alive, seem to have nothing recognizable under their belt. Let me know if you've seen any of these. Like, are they good? I don't know. For this video, I'm going to be using the English dub, just for when people look away for 2 seconds, they could just hear the English dialogue for easy consumption experience. I also want to mention a lot of the video clips I'm going to use are flipped, and they're going to have a filter over it because I am terrified of copyright, and I want to make sure that there's a chance this video actually gets uploaded. So if I butcher the ever-living shit out of the visuals, I apologize for the, hey, put a lot of effort into this, and this is my first big anime video, so give me that wiggle room, please, audience. I apologize, but you know, that means you could also go watch the original, just so you have reference. There are some image comparisons later on that I do specify are flipped, but for the majority here, I just want to mention that a lot is going to be flipped, so don't be surprised if you end up looking at the original source material and realize, hey, this looks not quite the same. I just wanted to point that out there for transparency reasons. Ningen Fushin is a series that I'm pretty conflicted on, and I want to share the good and the bad from it, and whether it deserved better. A fantasy series with modern elements, a cast of characters that were betrayed or treated like trash by other people, who all end up coming together to form a party and learn to trust once again, or at least take baby steps towards trusting again. This video will be structured as the following. Going into the first episode, giving my thoughts on that while leaving room for you to decide whether or not you want to watch the rest on your own. Going through episodes 2, 3, and 4 to a snappier, quicker degree, while once again leaving room for you, if you're still interested, to watch the rest yourself. And then just kind of speed running through 5 to 12, sharing any positives or negatives that I think were noteworthy, or just little things that I thought were neat. Then I'll be going into the manga, comparing if it was better or worse, what it did right or wrong, and with that, concluding the video, looking back on everything. So with that, let's jump into episode 1. Episode 1 starts off with a narrator talking directly to the audience, giving us some light world building on the main location of the series called Labyrinth City, before cutting to Nick and getting a very abridged, quick fast forward of his origin story.
My name's Nick, a swashbuckler with a group of adventurers called the Masters of War. I've got a girlfriend and a plan to make our party reach A rank. Yeah, life is pretty good.
You're out. We're getting along much better without you around.
Huh? I looked up to Argus like a father. Now he's kicking me out.
Well, guess we're through.
Huh? Dumped and betrayed by the girl I loved. I was completely gutted. Then I became an idol otaku! Yeah! Agate rocks!
And then they just cut to the OP, and it's so jarring. If you're on a first time viewing, this might not even stand out as that odd. This whole introductory segment, like, it might even get a laugh out of you. But in rewatching this episode, as well as the following ones, to catch myself up to speed to continue on from 5, this introduction doesn't work, and it just clashes with a lot of the other things that happen later. Nick's whole origin is played for like a comedic laugh, like, lol, his girlfriend friend left him, his father figure kicked him out, and now he's an otaku who worships an idol. That's so silly, lol. And a very light minor spoiler for something that happens beyond episode 4 for the latest stuff, without getting into details, but all of these events that happen, these hurt him really bad. So much so that he had a nightmare about it in a later episode. It's just strange to see this.
I was completely gutted. Then I became an idol otaku!
On a rewatch and like, that's stupid. Why would you play this for laughs? That's dumb. No. You're setting people already off on like a weird notion that it's all gonna be silly hunky-dory. But it's not. They already kinda goofed up from the get-go. From the fucking start. And I'm not saying the idol otaku thing's bad. As a matter of fact, when it comes back up later, it's used to pretty good effect, and it's an interesting direction for a fantasy anime character to go through. My issue with this concept is how they present it to the audience, treating it as a comedic thing rather than something to be taken seriously, which later they will be taken seriously. So it sets people off on the wrong idea, and it just feels wrong, and it doesn't feel right, and that's my main issue with it. I don't think the concept at all is bad. I think it's just the presentation of it, the execution from the beginning. Anyways, after the very skippable OP, because it is not remarkably stunning, and the song is we get an extended scene of Argus talking with Nick, and Nick being kicked out of the group. Apparently the main reason for Nick getting kicked out of the group is because Nick's trying to be a leader and call the shots. Argus, not liking that as the true old leader of the guild, wants him out. I mean, why not give him a warning? You said it yourself in the scene, you raised him since he was young.
You were a kid when I took you in and taught you everything I knew. Now you're acting like you're the one calling the shots.
That's what this is about!
You and I are done talking. Bottom line is we have different ways of handling things. There's only room for one leader here. You're better off with your own party.
Another party? Argus,
So like, isn't kicking him out just a little extreme? After that, we find out how Nick got in the whole idol worshipping scene. Sitting depressed in the rain next to a fountain, as if he couldn't get any more soaking wet in the rain. I mean, thankfully there's no water coming out of it, but like, if dude leans back once, he's gonna... Anyway, while he sits there, he ends up catching the eye of a woman called Agate, and Agate feels sorry for him, sitting out here in the soaking rain, and she ends up wanting to lift his spirits, so she gives him a ticket to her idol show, and even gives him an umbrella before leaving. How nice. Though Nick says he doesn't plan on going. We know Nick goes anyway, and enjoys himself, finding life worth living. The next day, Nick tries to group up with different adventurers, to unfortunately no success. Defeatedly, he ends up sitting at a table at a bar, which he'll have to later share as the bar gets more busy, with incoming customers having to share the table he's sitting at. Curious, Nick starts to observe them over, starting with an out-of-place looking mage, who likely had a wealthy background with a family of unconditional love for her. I'm kinda describing what he's saying. Nick's pretty observant, and he's also got a good nose. Fun fact, I guess.
That cleric's already been drinking tonight. Is he with the two girls? No, don't think so. He left a cabaret club. I can still smell the perfume. And no medal either, meaning he was excommunicated. Cleric is a popular job, yet everyone's ignoring him. And there's the Draconian, who's seen more than her share of battles, which he reminds me of a wounded animal.
Following this, we begin to learn of the past of the mage and cleric, the Dragonians, which isn't until episodes later. Starting with the mage, she's highly talented, skilled, beloved, and praised for being able to use water and wind magic, so she can cast multi-elemental magic, which is apparently really hard and special, as is the norm usually in fantasy anime. In response to what are probably some of her teachers, she says her efforts aren't for fame or power, but rather her mind. The mage's name is Tiana, and following the success of the spell, she goes to tell a person by the name of Alex the good news.
Do you know how silly you are? Alex!
Tiana, hi.
Tiana ecstatically shares the good news of Alex. Alex responding to Tiana's words with an almost uncaring demeanor like he's heard all of this before.
You've astonished your teachers with another amazing spell, no doubt.
It's almost like it's become routine. Alex can't help but be cynical and sarcastic to Tiana's words, as he isn't able to be surprised by Tiana's accomplishments. He just expects to know the answer at this point. It's all just become routine.
You should have seen their faces when I showed them I could wield lightning magic. At this rate, I'll graduate a year early.
Oh wow, really? I'm shocked.
Tiana finds his choice of words and the tone a little bit off. Before she verbally responds, her attention is drawn away when she hears the voice of another person speaking.
She's exactly like the rumor said. Who is this? My name is Lynn, and I'm the eldest daughter of the Delcott family. Oh, those merchants who struck it rich.
Stop making her sound like a commoner.
Huh?
From what I hear, you've persistently bullied her at school too.
Huh?
It's obvious. You've always had it out for Lynn. Don't try denying it.
What are you talking about? Let's not forget how she seduced our teachers. Such lies! Not only have you insulted me, you've disrespected the entire school.
Would you drop the act? Everyone knows that teachers gladly accept bribes to change students' grades.
But that's ridiculous.
I've had enough, Tiana!
Enough of what?
You don't know? All right. You're either constantly bragging about your magic or talking down to people who aren't as rich as you. Not to mention how you claim all your hard works for my sake. When have you ever done anything for me? Ha! You couldn't help being the top student and making me seem beneath you. People are talking. I was supposed to be in the Mages Union like my father, and now my fiancé is better than me! Are you that clueless?
Alex?
It's all over. My days of being humiliated by you as well as our engagement. Tiana, as long as I've known you, you've only thought of yourself.
I'm gonna be honest, even on the first viewing with my friend, I thought this scene was clunky as fuck. Maybe it's the way they introduce these characters in the same scene as shit hits the fan, but it just doesn't work, and I swear you have to really grasp at straws at anything before this to be like, well, I guess they kinda make sense here, but like, no, they don't. And I don't know, I still don't kind of fucking know if they're supposed to have a point or not. My headcanon right now is that you just ditched her for an easy hoe. Cause I can't. The scene's kind of bad. I don't think it was done well at all. The scene could have been done better, but I think part of it is that they don't have enough time to spend building this up and fleshing this out. So you have to just go along with it and be like, no, that's not true. I only just met her, but that can't be true because she's got to be nice. She's a main character and she can't be a bad guy. She can't be gray or do anything icky. She's good character, so no, I know. How dare they say this? It just doesn't work.
As long as I've known you, you've only thought of yourself. Even now, who do you see in front of you?
Maybe this whole time, I have been too self-absorbed.
So of that clunky dramatic moment, Tiana leaves to go self-improve herself or something. Yeah, I don't know. After moving to Labyrinth City and making a home for herself, Tiana realizes she'll have to work for money if she wants to be able to pay for the rent. And though Tiana does try to get work, for different reasons she gets turned away each time. Whether it's because she wasn't given a letter of recommendation, which I call bullshit. Other reasons including her status as a noblewoman, or the unfortunate situation of finding a place that's already got too many people working there. Tough luck. So in a desperate attempt to earn money, she resorts to gambling on this world's equivalent of horse racing. They're like these scuffed dragon things. I don't know, I think it's pretty neat. Anyway, she wins, then she loses, and now she's sad. So she decides to go drink at a bar after failing to find more work.
Hey, you're a mage, aren't you? No, never mind. Sorry.
I've got to remember to smile more.
Excuse me?
Huh?
Monster, somebody help me!
I know I've been pretty negative on the episode so far. That was pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. As we know, Tiana joins Nick at the table, and it's there where the flashback comes to an end, as we cut back to the main four characters conversing at table. And it's here where we start to get the cleric's backstory, as he talks off screen about how his backstory is way worse than Tiana's. And Nick's all like, well, if it's so bad, you gotta talk about it now. You gotta tell us, mister. What are you hiding? What's your story, dude?
Since you asked. The city I come from is known for medicinal herbs, and its temple to the god of divine inspiration, Medlar. At one point, I was cleric there.
Oh, there's him! Oh, there's him! Oh, look at this!
Please, no. Please don't.
Uh-oh. Love, I'm scared.
I hope this isn't going where I think it is. My guy, before you do anything, stop. Just stop. It's time to stop.
We're probably just overthinking it. Hopefully. Come on, press play. I'm sure we'll worry about nothing.
I really hope so.
I even managed to find you some pilcher grass.
What would I do without you, Meryl? You're truly a blessing. Here's a little something for your help.
Please don't. Stop.
Again, maybe we're just overthinking it. Come on, play. I'm sure it's just a nice little head rub, probably.
Derp, you've seen where the other two backstories went. You know for a fact this ain't gonna end well.
Let me believe, love. Let me have hope.
Alright.
I'll see you later, I promise. I'm back, Father Zim.
Look who it is. You're later than usual today.
That's because I was working extra hard for you.
No.
I'm with you, love, but we're in this too deep now. We have to see this thing through.
Damn it. Please, dude. Don't do it.
Don't pretend I'm not your favorite person.
What a spoiled little girl.
I'm not. I'm all grown up, you know. At least, I want to be grown up. Just like you.
Listen, Meryl. You're a child. I'm a man. Of the cloth, no less. Priests aren't allowed to fall in love or be in relationships. You should be spending more time with someone closer to your own age.
Good.
Phew.
Thank you.
Well, I'm happy about that. So when's the bad part of the backstory then?
Oh, for the love! What's about to happen?
Father, baby, you jerk! I hate you! So you think I'm a child? I'll show you.
He's about to get the Naofumi treatment, isn't he?
Naofumi treatment?
Oh, well, I guess to be more specific, he's about to get the shield hero treatment.
Oh! Oh no. Yeah, I think you're...
Following in the same footsteps as Multi from Shield Hero, framing the poor guy for something he didn't even do. In the following morning, Meryl manages to turn the priest against Zem. Zem's initial confusion of the angry priests at his door changes to distraught as he sees Meryl hiding behind the priest looking rather sad. He tries to get to her, he wants to help her, he wants to know what's wrong, but the priests stop him before she then proceeds to put the nail in the coffin and ruin any credibility that he ever had.
I trusted you!
Meryl.
There is only one thing worse than a rapist. Boom. A child.
Anyways, Zem gets locked up for about 3 months. Once out, is banished by CGI guards, and is name called, mocked, and ridiculed by the populace of the city. There's even Meryl in the background, which I did not notice until editing this. I mean, technically she shows up in just about the next shot, but like, with the lighting and the guy on the left, I just thought the animators got lazy or something. But nope, she's there. That's a cool detail. Proud of what you did? You happy? You got what you wanted? Are you satisfied, you little shit? I hope you are. I sure do hope you are. Cause god damn, what an awful person. But it's not all bad. In the following scene after being banished, Zem finds himself at an inn and meets a lady by the name of... She does not have a name. Hi guys, Derp from the future here. Turns out, she does have a name. It's just never once uttered in the whole anime. And the only reason why I know that she has a name in the first place is because somebody added it to Mal while I was making this. Because it wasn't there when I started it, I swear to God. So thank you, whoever added that to Mal. Great job. Unless that name was pulled out of your ass, in which case, please take that off or cite a source. Because I'm going crazy. Where's the name? Where was the name in the anime? Was it in the anime? Was it in the credit? Where was it? Someone drop a comment. I'm losing it. Where was it? How many times do I have to rewatch this? I've rewatched it enough to make this video, goddammit. I don't want to watch it anymore. I've done enough. I've done too much. After noticing that she seems to be in a little bit of pain, Zem offers to get some Redirection healer on. I don't think I can spit it in any other way. I gotta play this.
You look like you're in need of some healing.
Huh? Did you sleep well? The pain in my back is gone thanks to you. But you saw for yourself.
His dick healed her. Zem eats some food by a nameless woman, and she tells him that he should go to Labyrinth City before handing him an early customer's inventory. Someone who got too rowdy and left it behind as payment. After accepting her generosity, well, we know where he heads off next. But before finishing off the rest of the episode, I just want to say, Zem definitely has the best backstory of the bunch. Compared to Nick, Tiana, and to a lesser extent Curran, whose backstory comes in a later episode, Zem's is just simple enough with the right amount of detail, though we don't know why Meryl did what she did exactly. Compared to Nick's dad being overly petty and not even giving him a chance or a warning because he tried to lead the team maybe 1 or 2 times. That's apparently enough to deserve being kicked out altogether. Like, well, at least you can use the excuse of Mural's a stupid dumb little kid, and at least we get a brief moment between Zem and Mural before Mural stabs him in the back, compared to Tiana and what's his name, who we are introduced to in the same scene as shit hits the fan. This definitely makes Zem strongest character wise. However, as the episodes continue, Nick, Tiana, and DerpADuh grow as characters and become more engaging compared to where they began. After a little bit of chatter, Nick shifts the conversation over to Curran for her backstory. She tells them that something important was stolen from her, done by someone important to her, and she kind of leaves it at that. They then abruptly cut to light humor. It isn't until episode 3 where we get the proper in-depth version of her backstory. Then we cut to Nick's dream or flashback nightmare. I'm not too sure, to be honest. It's basically just another repeat of the breakup scene. It's here where we actually get to know the name of the main character's ex, that being Claudine. And if you remember what I said at the start of the video where I said the main character had nightmares that he had had another one in a later episode. Yeah, I kinda lied. He has multiple, this being one, and that one I mentioned earlier being another one. They wanted you to take his backstory serious from the first episode. Again, they fucked up by making it a punchline at the start.
I was completely gutted.
Then I became an idol otaku!
What were they thinking? Nick wakes up from his nightmare and finds he's not in the bar anymore. He's so hungover from drinking all night with the other three that he doesn't even recognize who they are until moments later. Even after waking up a little bit, he doesn't even realize that he's not even in his home. He's at Tiana's place. Once everyone's awake, everyone leaves to go their separate ways, with Curran and Zem already on their way out, Nick following behind. However, he isn't able to fully leave, coming to a stop as he realizes that there's an opportunity right here before him.
Before you go, tell me one thing. Is this really okay?
Is what okay?
If we do split up, can we make enough money to survive? We each have something driving us, whether it's idols, food, gambling, or women. And here we are, not even sure if we'll have enough money for a room, let alone be able to afford the things we love. You're fine with that? Struggling on our own to eke out even the most basic existence? I don't know about you, but I care about things that give my life purpose.
That isn't fair.
Here's what I'm proposing. If the four of us can't trust anybody, then why don't we form our own party?
After some nice little narration, that's it. That's episode 1. If it isn't obvious, I think it's pretty flawed. Nick and Tiana really needed more time to flesh out their backstories and to expand on their individual supporting characters of their backstories. And heck, they kind of needed to be reworked anyway. Nick's dad kicking him out because he tried to lead the team and he didn't even like get a warning or anything like that. Come on, that's dumb. That's fucking dumb. But Zem's backstory was really good, and there were a couple of jokes and moments between that I thought were also pretty good too. I think it's a decent introduction to the series, but it's definitely weaker than I first initially thought. And though at the beginning of the video I said that I dropped the series for a couple of reasons, believe me when I say that it's only up from here. So how about we speed through the next few episodes and see where our characters lead off to. Episode 2. The gang are at the guild and they're trying to get their party officially named and recognized. There they meet a cute squirrel girl receptionist and they meet Vilma, who's a recurring character in the series. After reading off a sheet, Vilma recognizes Nick's name, knowing him from the Masters of War. Remember Masters of War, the thing he used to be part of at the start? That thing. Yeah, I know, it's pretty easy to forget about. Vilma also recognizes Curran, calling her the Survivor Girl, which is M notes that they all kind of survived in their own way. And I think it's supposed to be like a cheesy little nice thing. But I'm just looking over to Tiana like, what did you survive? Some guy dumped you for this nobody? You know, he was kind of an asshole from where we were looking. Just find a better tasting guys. Love hurts. I kind of want to make a case for Nick, but at the same time, he kind of had depression, so he gets a pass. That's a slippery slope that, you know, can go dark places if it's not treated well. And being an idol worshipping otaku kind of helped him out. So you know what? He's kind of, yeah, he's a survivor. Tiana, I know we discussed this already, but you gotta get yourself a way better backstory, man. And now we have the party named Survivors. Later that night, Nick, Zem, Tiana, and Curran discuss how they should operate the team, as they've only just met each other and they don't really trust each other. So they establish some rules that I'll have on screen. I don't want to share too much of this scene as it is pretty fun.
Found it.
That thing?
Yep. I present the survivor's first prey. The slime.
Hey, wait a minute. That wasn't there before. There's a continuity error. What gives? So our heroes are treading this dungeon, fighting slimes along the way, and it seems like they're already starting to form a friendship, making playful jabs, joking around, and Nick even thinks that forming this party with the three was the right decision.
Keep your guard up. Always.
We've only gone up a few floors. The only changes we've seen so far is there's more of them and they've gotten faster. It may come as a surprise to the rest of you, but I've defeated orcs and goblins before. Alright, because I take very little enjoyment in melodramatic plot beats, we're gonna move through this one really quick. Tiana does a fucky wucky and misfires, almost hitting Curran, and Curran takes this as, well, you tried to kill me, what the heck? And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. But then she turns around and all snarky like, it was kind of your fault though, you were in the way. And then Curran's like, I thought I could trust you, rah. And they're both just sad and angry at each other. Nick and Zem are just like watching the whole thing. And this becomes the main central theme of the rest of the episode, is rebuilding that trust. Nick thinks it's a pretty good idea to share their strong suits, their weaknesses, and properly strategize who's best at what to improve their dynamics and relationship a little bit better. It also kind of helps in a way to know like what the other person's good at, because, you know, if you don't trust them, well, then you know what to look out for if they were to backstab you, kind of thing. So it's an interesting way to go about it. It's pretty neat. Tiana uses this method as a way to apologize to Curran in her own little Tiana way, by sharing to Curran how she's good at water and wind, but her weaknesses are fire and close range, which Curran excels at. Curran's like, why are you telling me this? And Tiana's like, don't worry about it, all tsundere-like. Of course, to spell it out, the idea is that, you know, Tiana can do everything, and Curran has her place on the team, and it's, you know, you get it. They're better working together, because without each other, then they're missing things. You get it. Curran sees Tiana shivering and gives her a little bit of fire to warm herself. After a little snarky remark, you'll that the tension has been lifted, although they still have room to grow as friends. Then they fight some goblins, and normally I'd be like, if only Goblin Slayer was here to do his job, and we don't need that here because they do a great job. Even an ogre shows up, but with trust and teamwork, they handle it with ease.
My back on you was easy as eating haponyaki.
And that's the first adventure of the team. After a little melodramatic argument, the episode pays it off by having the team work together and coming out of it as stronger friends. It's really nice. But that's not where the episode ends, as Nick bumps into Curran and makes her drop this item she has, accidentally cracking it on the ground, leading us into episode 3. Episode 3, the Curran backstory episode.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
So after opening up on a glimpse of the tragedy that's soon to come, we see Curran browsing in a small little shop. After looking around, soon selecting a medallion that we've seen before. Though she wants it, this guy overcharges for the medallion, and Curran, realizing she doesn't have the money to spend on it, gives it back and walks the other way. Unfortunately for her, the guy scratches it and then claims that she ruined it, stating that if she doesn't pay up, he's gonna have to contact the authorities. Anyway, this cool guy called Cario shows up, and he's like Curran's ally. He's all like, what you doing? You shouldn't go off on your own. Then he realizes she's been scammed. Then he asks Curran to make a scratch on the medallion to prove she didn't do it. And after failing to give a similar scratch due to the size of her claws, or nails, they refer to them as nails, but like shouldn't be claws, because it don't matter. Carios gives her a new medallion, and together they walk off into the sunset. But where's the tragedy? Bro, we're getting to it. So because these two different details kind of spread away from each other, I think it's best to just clump them together just so it's in the back of your mind. It's also very convenient because they are related topics. Curran is Dragonian, and Dragonians are a race that kind of serve to guide the hero of the world. And Curran believes that Carios is the hero, and she really looks up to him, says she's worshipped him and gave him everything she's had. Dare say, I think he likes him. Also, Curran was given some kind of jewel by her father. It's a jewel that has a lot of magic in it or something like that. Supposed to like grow alongside her or something, I don't know. It's in like one scene at the start. It's not even name dropped until later, called the Dragon King's Jewel, where it's given some amount of focus and importance, but it's barely focused upon before that moment. So is it important or is it not? It feels like it should be, but it's not. Why is this relevant? Well, if you have any form of pattern recognition, you'll know where this is headed. So Curran is packing her things, preparing to take a bag with her on her next adventure with Carios. Carios walks in the room and he's all like, why are you taking your bag with you? What are you thinking? People are gonna steal it? Like, bro, no one's gonna steal from you, Curran. You're a badass. You're amazing. She's like, yeah, I guess you're right. So she leaves the stuff behind. Part of Carios' body is Bellman George. Not much to really say, as they aren't Carios and they don't have much of a connection to Curran besides being an ally. They may as well be NPCs that use range magic. I don't really know what to say about them. So in the deepest part of the dungeon, there's what they describe as the pot snake. But like, that's a cobra. I mean, it's close enough. This is similar after all, but that ain't no snake, that's a cobra. The team devises a plan that involves Curran running up to the pot and hitting it so that the pot snake comes out. Once it comes out, it'll be left out in the open for everyone to attack with their long-ranged magic, and of course Curran and Carios to deal it with the close-ranged attacks. I know everything seems to go well starting off, things quickly spiral out of control after a magic attack seems to aggro it, then it goes ham on Curran.
This creature possesses a potent toxin, which it then unleashes whenever it's attacked. Afterwards, it becomes momentarily weakened, giving us a window to finish it off ourselves. So helpful, as always.
Why? I don't understand.
Hey boss, somehow the girl can still talk. She's strong.
A frightening race, aren't they? Quite resilient. Let's go. We got what we came here for.
No! Please don't leave me!
I can't even hold it all.
Wait, Kalios! Help me.
Oh boy, where to even begin? So up until now, it's been established that Karios and Curran have been on pretty good terms. We don't know how long they've been together, but we can assume it's a while. And while not specified, possibly weeks or months. In that time frame, we can only imagine how many adventures they've gone on together. Karios has had to have seen just how powerful Curran is, how much she is capable of. Hell, before she gets taken out by the snake, she literally one-shots a giant insect monster.
Fire Dragon Strike!
So on that alone, he has to know just how useful she is as a party member. But ignoring that factoid, we hear from Curran's thoughts that she's given everything to him.
I believed that he was the one and worshipped him, gave him everything I had. I felt our lives would be forever intertwined. Every day I spent with him was an adventure.
Meaning that she's just a reliable person in general. You can only imagine how many bags she's probably carried for him or how many doors she's opened for him. Worshipped him. She says she's worshipped him. And though we don't see what that entails, it's gotta mean something. So she's not only powerful, just great in combat, a useful tool while on an adventure, and she's just literally a nice person that will just do anything for you. Like he has to have noticed this. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have thrown her in front during the plan to begin with, because he knows that she trusts him, that she will do as he says because she really likes him. See, he has to know this. You're probably wondering, why are you making such a big deal out of this? And my answer is, why am I not? Like, why should I not make a big deal out of this? Think about this. Again, all of what I've just stated before, what is there set in stone with their dynamic? Ask this, why would you want to betray that person who is essentially giving themselves up for you free because they believe that you are literally the chosen one? Why would you want to throw that away for, I don't know, a random dungeon boss monster's guts? Like, let's give the show the benefit of a doubt that the boss monster was super rare and the guts will pay off quite nicely at the local store. It's that, or the guts are like the tastiest fucking thing in the world, like S-class food.
Alright, looks like we're good to go.
So this is it, huh? I wonder what exactly makes it S-class. My God! It's beautiful!
And you know, he measured the two options and he's like, you know what, dump the girl for the guts. This will be way worthwhile and I'll be way happier off. Like, let's assume it's that. Even if that is the case, why trade one for the other? Why not have both? Yeah, that might mean you have to share a little bit of the food, assuming you go that route, or a little bit of the money, I guess, if you're trading it in for cash. But like, why just get rid of your companion that is super useful in a multitude of ways, who would literally jump in fire probably if you told them to? I mean, they are a Dragonian. I imagine that they may be fireproof. I mean they breathe fire, but are they fireproof? You know what I mean. It just doesn't make sense from any angle you try to approach this from. The moment you think about it, it all just falls apart. I guess he's just an asshole who's also just a really big idiot. So in the following scene, after Curran escapes the dungeon and returns to the place she was staying at with Karios, Curran finds that the bag that contained the Dragon King jewel has been stolen. Like, she puts two and two together. And I can hear people who've seen the episode saying that, well, it makes sense that he would backstab her because, you know, he wanted the jewel, because in that one scene, I guess he glanced at it one time and he thought, I want that, even if I don't know what it is, because we don't know if Curran shared info on it because it's not really mentioned up until one scene. I just want it because it's a shiny rock that might pay well or some shit. Or maybe he heard about it in a storybook. I don't know. We don't get anything outside of the scene. Guess he just wanted it. Or maybe he just wanted to rob her. It might not even have anything to do with the rock. He just wanted to rob her. That's why he told her, hey, leave your things behind. Like, he doesn't explicitly mention the jewel. He doesn't say anything like, be careful to leave the jewel behind. He solely refers to the bag. Karios might not even know that the jewel still exists. Like, he genuinely never sees it in the show, unless he can see through walls, but you know, I kind of doubt that. So he genuinely just probably wanted to rob her just because he's an asshole. Correction, an incredibly stupid asshole. Thinking about this now, I don't even know why they bothered to leave the belongings behind anyway, considering that they were just gonna leave her there anyway. Like, if she's just gonna bring them along and they're just gonna abandon her, I guess they could just grab the bag as she's paralyzed, knocked out on the ground. I suppose, you know, maybe the bag would get damaged in combat perhaps, but wouldn't it save them time? Thinking about it, really, do we need to stay there? I guess just to add suspense in the storytelling, is that it? Okay. Besides that, the only other excuse I can think of is that they needed to tell the people in the area of where they stayed at that Corin died apparently, and then she comes back and they're like, whoa, wait, you're alive? So I mean, there's that, I guess, the misinformation spread. It's not like the biggest thing, but the other ones before that, like, definitely are really dumb and stupid, and makes me question what the fuck they were thinking with this character. Like, why? I hope what I'm saying makes sense. I really hope people aren't just getting lost on just how whack this all is. I know for like a lot of this, I haven't really gone into depth of like, well, maybe you could fix it this way or that way. For most of it, I'm like not too sure on how I would go about it. Besides what I believe would be given the backstories along the length, but expanding upon the elements and characters that surround the focused character's backstory. But if I were handling this, I would have it be that Corin would realize that Karios isn't the hero she thought he was. Over time, she sees him doing shady stuff, but you know, maybe the first time she's like, oh, he probably meant it in a good way, or might have been a mistake, you know? She looks over it, but then she sees him doing like more things that aren't quite morally good, and then she starts to question like, is this guy who I've been following actually the hero? I don't think the hero would do these things. Could start off like petty crimes, but then over time it gets worse. It's like bribery and stuff. It just keeps increasing in terms of this is morally awful what you're doing kind of thing, and I can't forgive you for it. Like, it goes from I can kind of look over it to this is enough, I can't follow you anymore. I can see some point in their relationship that Karios tries to use Corin as like a pawn in his game. He's like, hey, do this thing for me, and then she's like, no, I can't follow you anymore, I'm sick of this. I've looked over you, I believed in you, I thought you were the chosen one, I thought you were gonna save this world. All you're doing is leaving it in a worse state. Then they have a falling out. Karios is angry, he's like, you're my tool, you're supposed to follow me and do as I say. And then they fight. Karios hurts her really bad, gets knocked into a river and goes down the water and wakes up somewhere far away. There's a few things you could do. I do like that idea of Corin's perception of Karios being altered as she finds out the man that he really is, not the chosen one hero she thought he was. And you know, when they have their scuffle, we can have Karios still end up having the bag, so it's closer to what happens in a way. Regardless, I think that would have been less bad, considering with what we got. I'm busy questioning the motivations and the thought process of the character. I guess he's just an asshole, an idiotic asshole. What a compelling character, am I right?
I don't understand.
Hey boss, somehow the girl can still talk. She's strong.
A frightening race, aren't they? Quite resilient. Let's go. We got what we came here for.
No, please don't leave me.
I can't even hold it all.
Wait, Kalios.
You are an idiot! Let's just get this episode over with. Corin goes on a search for Karios, seeking after him to get her Dragon King's jewel back, even calling on the help of civilians. To unfortunately no success. Corin decides to get something to eat at this restaurant.
If you'll excuse me. Welcome in!
Who thought this looked good? I'm being serious. How did this get out? Like it's front and center. How do you miss this? So this guy's called Fifths. And I don't know what happens to Corin, but she must have fallen for him or something, because for the rest of the episode, she's just following him around. She orders the same food he orders. Then after this day, she ends up like stalking him another time, ordering the same food he does. I don't know. And it's supposed to be cute, like she's like a lost puppy or something. I don't know. I really don't know. Eventually, he realizes she's been stalking him and doing this behind his back, so he decides to mess around with her a bit and order some unorthodox meals, like special orders in like different weird ways, little combinations to just screw around with taste buds. For mostly better though, like, you know, silly fun, cute little harmless prank. Nothing intentionally cruel, mean-spirited, nothing like that. Eventually, they sort of cross paths though, as his sword falls over by this drunk guy by, and Corin catches it with a tail, leading Fifth to turn around and look at her. The two characters finally facing each other for the first time. And though he thanks her, it's in like the most passive-aggressive way. It almost comes off like he was offended she went out of her way to help. Like, is he supposed to be a dick, or was there a mistranslation in the room as they were doing this episode? Like, did one person say, yeah, no, it's sincere, and then the other one was like, no, he's kind of angry about it. Like, what happened? What is this? Don't know. And then the message behind this is supposed to be like, thank you for helping me eat food and stuff. And I'm like, what? What does this have to do with the shit that just came before this with Karios? Like, it's a cute little story, but like, quite frankly, this has jack shit to do with what came before. Okay? I want to like it, but I don't know what the point of it is. I mean, it's like kind of a heart warmer, but I'm just confused. I believe that this is supposed to be showcasing Corin's hobby of enjoying food, or rather discovering the enjoyment of food. But it just feels really jarring to go from the Karios stuff to this. Is it vaguely connected? I mean, kind of, sort of, yes, but like at the same time, it's like, could we have this another time since it's not exactly related? Like, there are other characters that could benefit with having some of their later backstory things earlier. Cough, Nick. I'm not gonna mention it because it's too little too late. But Nick, Nick. So after Nick broke Corin's medallion, he's been looking to find a replacement gift for her. Unfortunately, not being able to find the right one. Closest thing he finds is something that looks vaguely similar, but it's not the same. Going outside, he then meets Agate, which, what the hell is that? They talk by the water fountain where they first met at. It's pretty nice. He's all like, well, I need to find it. You know, I gotta pay her back and stuff. I feel guilty, man. And she's like, well, I mean, how do you know that she even wants a replacement? Did you ever think about that? Well, you got it. Maybe you should communicate better, dude. Paraphrasing. Anyway, then he like talks to Corin and she's like, I don't need a replacement. I'm happy. Thank you, though. Do you want to eat this? And then he eats food. And, you know, watch the scene for yourself. It's pretty nice. They have a nice conversation. And look, I want to be honest. I said it before, like, to a lesser extent, whatever, this backstory is probably the second least offensive, right behind Zem's, with Nick's backstory after Corin. And then at the very, very far bottom, Tiana's, which... It exists, but I don't even know if I want to call it good. I still believe that Zem has the best backstory of the bunch. The episode comes to an end as all our party members coincidentally all meet up at the same bar. I guess this is their unofficial meeting place for the time being. And together just have a good time. And then we close out on an interesting note as the party gets invited back by another squirrel girl who is not the one from before. It's the tropey anime twin girl thing, you know, where they look similar, but they're different. You know, you've seen it before. Like, the images on screen, you get it. Vilmer asks the party if they can go down into the Labyrinth of Bonds to retrieve an item. That item being the Sword of Bonds, which leads us into episode 4. Episode 4. After Nick gives Vilmer a list of demands, in order to make sure they're well paid, and there's no fishy business going on with the whole quest, the team sets off to the labyrinth to find their sword.
So we're looking for a sword that amplifies a party's power based on the bonds between them. Kind of ironic when you think about it.
Well, I think it's the perfect quest for us. It does feel like we're trusting each other more every day.
Yeah, glad to hear we have each other's backs.
If you paid attention to the introduction segment, you'll probably remember this staircase. It's the one with the awful walking animation. Truly one of the best scenes in anime history. After wandering around the labyrinth for a little while, they find what seems to be a dead end until they accidentally cause a door to open up, leading the heroes into a big room with many display cases, all with hilts of blades within. And remember what I said on episode 1, that Nick was pretty observant? Well, his observant eyes and nose are able to tell the audience and his party that he knows which one is the right one. Wanna have a guess? Alright. The one on the left, the one on the right, the other 50 on the left, the other 50 on the right. Nope, it's the one in the middle right there staring at you from across the hall, because whichever one would it be? It's the only one with a light. It's the only one that's lit up. Like, come on. Why would it not be that one, Nick? Maybe you're not so special after all. Once they reach the sword, suddenly the lights turn on. Then an old man's voice starts to speak out from an unknown source. The party looks around confused, trying to find the origin of the voice, soon realizing the voice is coming from the Sword of Bonds. Turns out the sword is sentient, and it's been waiting for a long time, waiting for a party to use it. We get a couple of pieces of information, a little bit of lore, the idea that the sword is a product and possibly might be part of a grander thing. The sword even tells the party that if it's used, it'll provide them unparalleled power. Whatever that means, we don't know, for now. But we aren't too sure what that might be. and our heroes don't really have any interest in whatever the old man is talking about, just wanting to hurry things along to get moving. I don't want to overshare this scene, as I do think it's pretty fun and it has a lot of humor in it, so I think it could be worth checking out on your own. Once the sword is taken, an automated defense mechanism thing activates a robot monster. Kind of reminds me of that one Pokemon from Sun and Moon, minus all the cool design elements. A battle between the Guardian and the party ensues. Unfortunately for the party though, they quickly find that their attacks don't do anything to the Guardian, leading them to try to escape. Unfortunately, the door behind them shut, and their attacks aren't doing much of a dent into it. Things are looking pretty dire, and that's when the sword starts to talk. The Sword of Bonds talks to Nick, telling him to look over to Curran, envision her in his head, and shout the word Union. We don't know what this means, but Nick does it anyway, putting his trust in the sword. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to do anything but make the sword a bright light for a moment. Even the sword itself is confused, but now's not the time to argue as the Guardian sets its sights on Nick and begins to attack him, shortly sending Nick across the room, knocking him over a bunch of display cases and leading him to fall down a hole in a rather comedic fashion. I don't think it was intentionally supposed to be funny, but I got a giggle out of it. Underground, Nick finds himself surrounded by debris, unable to move or get up. It's then when Curran comes by and tries to help him out.
You're wasting time trying to save me. Take the others and run. Escape while you can. We're survivors. Cut your losses and leave with as many as possible.
Would you leave us behind? No one's dying here.
Hoping for the impossible will get you killed.
We go back together, or not at all.
It was my fault. I'm sorry for breaking your pendant.
I told you.
Not to worry about it, I know. Still though, it was important to you, right?
It was a gift from my former party leader. As much as I wanted to, I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. Truth is, I didn't want to believe. The fact that I was tricked, and they left me to die, it was too painful to face what had happened. So I held on to hope that one day I would wake up, find Kalios waiting, and we'd go adventuring like we used to. Having that pendant, it kept my dream alive. Even if I knew it was a lie. As hard as I tried, I couldn't forget about all the good times we had. I spent more time with memories instead of with the people around me. It was too much fun. So when the pendant broke that day, it wasn't a bad thing, just the opposite. I finally saw the light. Thanks to you, I was freed.
What are you doing? What? It's spreading.
With their persona social link bond forged, the Sword of Bonds begins to glow when the old man tells Nick to try using Union one more time.
Summon freezing!
Unyielding fortress! Quick heal! Unyielding fortress! Unyielding fortress!
That's enough, Zem!
But we can't stop.
Save the rest of your spells for when Nick gets back. I'm done for. Run.
No! I'm staying here! Besides, this can't be how it ends!
You gotta admit we did great, didn't we? Even without Nick and Curran's help, we stood tall and held out. Don't you dare smirk at us, cocky slime
Nick!
Curran!
Turns out that Union ability is a special fusion type power that, well, do I have to explain what fusion is? Come on, you just saw it. You get it. It goes full Ex Machina on this dude, which, I mean, it's cool. Little anticlimactic, but, you know, that design is awesome. I love that. So after they beat the boss, the party returns to the guild and meets Vilma with not the sword. Instead, one of the fake ones that were off screen in one of the display cases. We don't see them pulling it out. They just kind of have a spare somewhere, and they give it to Vilma, basically pretending that it's the real one because they ain't letting this sword go. Hell no, this shit rocks. Why would they give this away? This is the bee's knees. This is their exotic weapon, their legendary weapon. Why? In what world would they give this thing away? Gotta be crazy. Gotta be insane. Gotta be cuckoo. So yeah, they keep it. However, turns out the sword turned into this little white-haired boy or girl. Let me just double check on the wiki.
3 weeks later.
Okay, I just came back from the fandom page. 1, that thing is in dire need of some updating. Someone get on that. And 2, yeah, it's a boy. So this is our secret 5th character, which isn't so secret if you pay attention to the intro and, well, it's in the key visuals, so I mean, like, it's kind of there. Honestly, I kind of wish they kept it secret, because it would have been, like, a cool little, like, oh, you didn't see this coming, we've got another character in the cast. I don't know how many of you guys watch the OP, but like, I always skip it because they always straight up spoil shit in it. But like, yeah, I kind of wish they kept it a secret. But yeah, this is this kid. He's called Kizuna, and he's the old man voice, but now he's a little Shota boy. Kind of cringe, but you know what? I'm not gonna lie, he's kind of fun. I will admit, it takes time for me to warm up to him. He is a weird little inclusion into the cast, but I think over time, he definitely fits in with the rest. And you get like a little nice moment towards the end where he and Tiana talk for a moment and hang out. Well, off screen, but they talk a little bit before they hang out off screen.
Hey, Kizuna.
What's up?
Just so I have this right, you waited hundreds of years for us?
Oh? Yeah! I held out for hundreds, no, actually more like thousands of years for the right adventurers to come along.
Oh. You were brave.
Hey! Just because I look like a kid doesn't mean you can make fun of me!
So well behaved.
You're doing it again, you jerk! You better stop or I'll slice you in two!
Tough talk for a mop.
If you aren't scared, then stop running away!
Somebody help! He's going to wipe the floor with me!
And that's episode 4. Looking back on episodes 1 through 4, I definitely do think that rewatching them now, I do have a more positive outlook on them, but I don't entirely think they're great. I still have issues with episode 1, the weak backstory for Nick and Tiana, not to mention some of the choices there. I'll have that notorious part on screen. And I do think some of the animation falters in places. There are some instances I've failed to mention, but I kind of don't want to entirely shit all over this because I have been fairly negative already, and I do want to highlight a lot of the positives. So I'm kind of skipping around some of the negatives, but there are a few fight scenes between episodes 2 and 3 and 4 that you can tell the animators are trying their best to cut around and save some money. I think everyone knows the good old speedline background kind of thing. There are quite a few moments where characters will just fly across the screen as like a still PNG as things move around them, which are also just still PNGs. You can kind of tell they're trying their best to just save their money. If episodes 1 through 4 interested you in the show, I would recommend watching it. I genuinely do think that the show is worth a watch because I've had issues with everything up until now. You know, there are parts that I've liked. I think I've made that pretty clear that I'm not just blindly trashing on this. There are definitely aspects that I do think could have been better, but you know, there are quite a few positives and good moments throughout that I think I've made it pretty clear that the show has more to it than what people may see on the outside. Already with episodes 2, 3, and 4, we're getting glimpses of something greater. These people with unfortunate backgrounds all coming together to form this kind of found family dynamic, and it's nice as we get these glimpses of hope as they enjoy themselves around one another and just have fun and smile. And as the episodes continue, we'll see more of this theme, and with different directions and combinations in unique ways you might not even expect. And it's again just really nice. And I believe from episode 5 and onwards, it gets so much better because now that you've been introduced to the characters, they can actually use that to use them in actual storylines, in actual plots. We've gone through the introduction segment. The party is here. Now let's use them in different aspects, in different kind of things. I'm not saying it goes from like, I don't know, I'd say up until now, this is like a 6. I'm not going to say it shoots up to a 10, but I definitely do think it goes from a pretty okay kind of show to, oh, this is pretty good. Whoa, I like this. You will still have the same issues with, oh, this animation could be a bit better, or this shot could have been tweaked a bit more. and you may even feel that, oh, this could have been fleshed out a bit more, or, oh, I kind of wish they went about this in a different way, but maybe you won't, because I'm a pretty nitpicky person. I think you might have picked up on that. I'm still gonna be a nitpicky person as time goes on. I don't plan to change that. I love to nitpick. I also hate to nitpick. That's just the kind of person I am. But, you know, maybe you'll look over all that shit. Maybe you think I'm too harsh, you know? So, I don't know. If you've been interested in what's been shown so far, please do check out the original show. Please continue it and watch the rest of it. Hell, if you watch the rest of it, please drop a comment. Say what you thought about it. I want to hear more people talk about this show, because I've seen nothing about this on Twitter, on YouTube. I follow quite a few YouTubers on Twitter and YouTube, and I've not seen anybody talk about this on either. I saw one tweet, and it wasn't from anyone I followed, and it was just some guy shitting on the animation of that staircase scene, which, yeah, is fully deserved, because that looks so wrong. Because, yeah, that looks so cursed. So please, if you're interested, please go watch the rest of the show. Tell me what you thought. There are a few things I'm going to talk about that I'm going to spoil, and it will ruin part of that enjoyment you could have on a blind viewing. But please, go watch it. I do recommend it if you have been interested, because it gets better from here. Now I'm just going to breeze through 5 and 12. I don't plan to put the same amount of focus on each individual episode. I'm mostly going to talk about things that stand out, like maybe big character moments or storylines that I think are quite important and interesting to speak on. Besides that, there are a few characters that I do want to talk about for a moment, so this is going to be a bit different from what I've done up until now. So without further ado, let's continue. Episodes 5 through 12, miscellaneous highlights and lowlights. Is that a thing? I know we barely touched on him before, but there's this dude who Tiana looks up to, and when we get an actual moment to spend time with him, because Tiana's backstory was so fleshed out, wink wink nudge nudge, we cut back to her past. The cutting back and forth in the show is just so annoying. We cut back to the backstory, and we get to actually spend 2 minutes with Tiana's teacher guy. In the shortest amount of time we spend with him, it's oh, this dude's gonna be a twist villain. Now, in the context of the show, we don't see him do anything evil yet, but he's got this creepy ass laugh. It's he's a second away from going full Joker mode. And ignoring that part, he says the wildest shit, like the most villain dialogue. I don't even want to play it here, because I want you to go off on your own journey, listen to it, and then be oh my god, what is this? This is the most on the nose thing ever. And again, he doesn't turn evil by the end of the season, but I'm willing to bet that if this show were to go on longer, or read the manga afterwards, that he does something shady later on, he's secretly part of a cult, or he's scheming something super bad. That is my prediction. I would be shocked though if he wasn't. That would be a curveball. Now I'm gonna be honest, confession time. I do like villainesses, and I like villains, but I do like villainesses too. I don't think that's a secret, but just in case nobody knew, I'm putting it out there. So excuse me if I'm a little bit irritated that the girl who dumped the main character, who is pretty shady and mean and bad, has 2 episodes of importance, one of which she's only in half of, and the other episode, she, by the end of it, gets sent to jail. I would have liked her to be around for a lot longer than that, but okay. Does she appear again? Oh yeah, a cameo at the end. And besides that, the previously mentioned cameos at the, the intro and that other scene, that's about it. Oh yay, great, awesome. Not annoyed at all. But to actually talk about the character, she's so awful, you have to enjoy her as a character, and you know what I mean. You love to hate them, or maybe you just love them because you love them. You know. Yeah, Claudine's great for the 1.5 episodes she's actually around for. Just a mean person. Nasty. Angry at Nick after he realizes she's trying to pull another scheme with this poor little guy. Why are you catching me in the act? Why are you stopping me, dude? I hate you. Thought I was done with you. She's just so mean. She's basically bullying Corin for half the episode, and she's what a dumb Dragonian, you can't do math, you can't do mathematics. She's awful. I love her. But what I don't like is that we're supposed to care about this character though, because they throw in sprinkles of humanization, oh, I actually had a really bad backstory, and when I grew up, my parents tried to sell me to people, and I had to use my good looks to scheme my way through life. I didn't choose to be the bad guy. It just so happened that I became one, and I don't want to be a part of this 2-man guild ignoring me. I'm actually trying to get out of it. It's oh, okay, but you're still an asshole, and I only just met you for 1 episode and a half, and during that runtime you've only been cruel, so why should I care? So that's Claudine. Her design is great, but I'm gonna be honest, if it wasn't for the VA's performance and, the previously mentioned design, I would probably not enjoy her presence as much. The episode that she comes from, by the way, episode 5, leads into episode 6, obviously, which has a really fun gimmick where Team Good Guys, the party, Nick, blah, 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 are going up against the Tiger Guild, whatever, and the plot of that episode is that the two teams are facing off one another for this, I think they call it the mathematics knuckle down thing, the mathematics knuckle down, and one person has to do a math test while these two other guys fighting, and it's so goofy, it's so unique, it's such a neat concept, and it's a shame that the animation kind of falters the scene a bit. There are quite a few times where it's shouldn't the table not be this big, and why is the perspective so off here? The background audience, oh my god, you look at the background audience for 1 second and then you take it out of the scene because they look grayed out, faded, and they're all just still PNGs. In some anime, when they laser, they'll do a crowd shot of 3D models and have them on a loop in animation. Here, they're just still PNGs, and they're in every shot. They never move in any shots. When you notice it, I don't want to complain about this anime, but the production is fucking shite. So stop complaining for 2 seconds. Yeah, this episode was pretty good. Probably one of the best of the season. Besides, something else I want to mention later on. The leader of that Tiger Guild is called Leon. While I'm talking about these, I genuinely just want to add, why were they thrown away so early in the anime? They should have been reoccurring threats or something. Anyway. So Leon dude takes Nick outside to talk with him, and because he's such an asshole, he's yeah, you're just like me, you're trying to scam your friends, right? You're not really friends, you're just trying to get money out of them. And Nick's yeah, sure I am. Let me kick your ass, motherfucker. And pins him to the floor, And just before this, Leon and Claudine were in the bar, and Claudine was angry that Nick exposed one of her little schemes in front of one of her victims. So she spills a drink over his head, and he talks to Nick yeah, do you wanna? I'm being serious, she's annoying, and I don't have the patience or the power to say no to her or anything. Do you just want to turn her in? Because I don't mind. And Nick's bro, come on. He doesn't say it, but you can tell Nick's dude, do better. At least that's what I interpret from the conversation, because he doesn't really respond to that part, but I think that would make sense for his character, from one leader to another, I think that's logical. Anyway, moving forward to the part I do want to talk about. Tiger Guy comes back in a later episode, and he has this sword, an evil version of the sword that the heroes have. Building on that lore, I kinda sorta didn't, but did refer to earlier about the whole maybe there's something bigger going on. Yeah, he's got an evil looking sword, and he transforms into this Hulk monster mode. He transforms into this big Hulk monster mode. It's so goofy, but it kind of looks cool, I'm not gonna lie. And then the Tiger by the end of the episode has a not redemption moment, but a hope that he can redeem himself in the future kind of thing, like a little baby step, because he's I don't want to be the villain, and then he does the right thing and stops himself from hurting anyone, even though he got this far into storm into a casino and attacking people, or at least trying to. And when I say people, it was mostly just Nick, because he got locked up. Nick locked him up because he lost the game. Nick, come on, catch up. But he wants to be a good guy. He don't want to be the villain. So it's kind of nice. I don't know why, but he never mentions Claudine in this whole episode. Doesn't even mention the boy. I don't even think we see the boy. The boy? I didn't mention the boy. Yeah, there was a boy in the group. Forgot his name because he's not really a character. He's just there. I think the show forgot about him. You know what? I like to be wrong sometimes, so I'm gonna throw up anything on screen if he shows up since that part or gets mentioned since that part. So boom, if anything comes up. Earlier I mentioned how Nick and Agate met at the water fountain. Agate helped him by giving him a ticket to her idol show, and it's nice to see that following the episodes into the season, these two have a reoccurring meetup. Despite being a fan and despite being kind of a hero figure and a fan, they have this nice little relationship going on where they support each other in a way. Them bumping each other into the current episode, and following this in a later episode, Agate runs into Nick as he's on a run and plays around it as he gets his daily little exercise. And I like the scene that follows this as she tells Nick how she was dealing with regret after giving him the ticket, and probably what is a pretty realistic thought process of, oh no, should I have given the fan special treatment? I hope he's not a weirdo, because now I'm gonna regret that, because fans can be pretty creepy. But after hearing what Nick went through and how she helped him move on to not go down any dark paths of maybe getting into crime or possibly worse, she realizes that she did the right thing, and it's nice.
so nice. And Agate doesn't just exist to elevate Nick's characterization. Agate's got her own background with a rather troubled relationship with her boyfriend. And instead of that just being a bit of trivia, they actually go and spend a full episode delving into her own past and exploring the issues that comes with into becoming an idol, the problems that may come with that being a boyfriend and all this other stuff. I think they do it pretty well. You wouldn't expect them to go in the directions they go with some of their side characters, and it's a shame that some of us don't get the same care. I kind of wish the previously mentioned villains got as much focus as Agate did, instead of just being introduced and then dropped an episode later. Agate is definitely one of, if not one of the best side characters in the show. Of course, not talking about the main five. They are the main five. Being the most fleshed out of the supporting cast, and generally just has like a positive effect on the show overall. It was nice seeing her come back every once in a while, just have a scene between her and Nick. And if not that, then just doing her own little idol thing. We even get a nice song to pay off this moment of her being saved by this guardian angel figure, which is Nick and Tiana fused together. Unfortunately, it's not dubbed, so rip viewers that don't speak Japanese. After being sidelined for most of the series, for sure getting a few moments, but rarely getting a spotlight after the introduction, Zem finally gets a sizable amount of importance with the Stepping Man arc, episodes 9, 10, and 11, becoming essentially the main lead, if not the strong side character of this selection of episodes. Starting off, what I like about this arc is that it doesn't forget tragic past that Zem went through. Zem rescues this young girl from this masked criminal, and after being saved, this young girl looks up to Zem and she's like, I want to work under you and I want you to teach me what you do because you're so cool and awesome and epic. And Zem, after what he went through with a literal child pushing acts that he never did and sending him to jail, he's uncomfortable with her. He's like, I'm sorry, but you're too young. Maybe when you're like 10 to 15 years older, then I'll consider it. And even like, what I like about this scene as well is that even Nick knows what happened, and you know, out of support and respect for his friend, he tries to intervene during this, but Zem gets the word in and speaks for himself, which is a really nice touch. It's tragic. I like that they don't just forget, like, yeah, no, shit happened and it's gonna stick around, which is a shame, but you know, hopefully maybe things may get better or not. And I just, you know, I like that these consequences of what happened in the past, that these unfortunate situations, they've stuck around. As the arc continues, the party ends up investigating the criminal that was behind this capture, and they believe it to be the Stepping Man, who's kind of like a ghost story type of character. They aren't really sure if it is him or not. All they know is it could be him, and they go in and find him. And they end up going to this rundown little town of all these sick people. They put like quite a bit of world building into this little area. Up until now, they've like barely expanded upon any locations. So it kind of caught me off guard when the characters started to talk about the background of the place. I'm like, oh, that's neat. That's cool. That's nice. More of that, please, next time. But yeah, it's an unfortunate sight. You see like these sick people. It's a change of pace. It's a change of scenery, because up until now, you've just seen like the generic fantasy area that, oh, it's like every other anime where everyone's just walking around and doing their thing. You got these people on the ground all dirty and so sad. And here they find like a priest who may or may not be sus. They're not sure, but he seems nice because he's trying to help out the locals. So I want to skip ahead between these parts. There's this girl, green hair. I'm not even going to talk about her because though she is important, I do not care about this character. She's not bad. I just do not care for this particular character type. They're kind of like overly wacky, but not in an endearing way. I just kind of find them very cringe. Maybe you'll know what I mean if you go out of your way to watch it, but I do not care to talk about them. They're semi-important, but they've been introduced in like the very end of the show, and though they seem to be a reoccurring character from this point on, this is where the show basically starts to end, so I'm not gonna bother. Anyway, this girl they find, they think it's Stepping Man, it's not. Then they go on their journey and blah blah blah. The priest that they met before ends up being Stepping Man, or what they think is Stepping Man. He's just using the name Stepping Man, and this priest, he's got like this whole backstory, and it's like super sad. Like, it took so long, but I finally started to get like unironically emotionally invested, because up until this point I'm like, you know, I kind of like the current stuff. I thought the Zem backstory was pretty sad. I do like the Agate stuff, but I felt like I couldn't quite get too into it. Like, I was into it, but I couldn't get fully invested. I wasn't emotionally attached yet. And then this arc
arc happened and the whole thing with the priest, it's like, wow, it took you forever, kinda. Like we're at the second to last episode here, but by golly, god damn it, I was on the verge of tearing up. I didn't, because the production is so ass. Oh my god, there's this scene and it's so good. But it's only good because the dub voice actor of Zem, he is, oh my god, he is giving it his all. He is doing the very best he can, and the production is so ass. If you close your eyes, maybe it works. But the visuals are in dire need of like so much polishing, so much more animating, and like they're serviceable, but serviceable isn't great, it's just fine. And that's like all they are, they're just fine. But the voice actor gives such a good performance, and the visuals are so shite, and it's a shame, because this scene is so powerful. Oh man, I'm tearing up almost. It's like that's what it is. But it's like you're almost there. Just had the budget or talent, it could be better, and it's not, and it's a shame. Such a damn shame. We get an awesome fight here, and then the arc comes to a close. I just want to wrap this video up. By the way, they're all in this warehouse, and it's on the verge of crumbling, and this dude gets like encased under it. They couldn't save him because he was basically already dead. Like there was no way. Rip. They all run out, and I shit you not, like they just cut to it already being like destroyed in the most like sloppy manner. It's like, you guys, any transition would have been better than this. Anything. It's so jarring. It's like, who thought this was okay? This is supposed to be like a really climactic emotional moment, and then you just nonchalantly just cut to it being destroyed. Like, oh my god. Oh, the first time I watched it, I had to do a double take. I mean, guys, are you being for real? This is how you're gonna wrap up like the second to last episode? It's like big climactic moment. Oh, so annoying. Like, I really want to praise this show because I don't want to shit all over it, but when you do this, I'm like, what the fuck? Zem gives a great performance. All of his friends are just standing there in an almost T-posing manner. Unfortunately, they don't have their arms up, but you know, they're doing like that idol pose, and it's kind of annoying when you like notice. It's like, guys, why are you all standing in a straight line and you're all just watching from afar? It looks wrong. Like like I noticed, like it's not bad, but it just looks too right. Like, remember what I said about nitpicking? Stick around on the channel because I love to nitpick and I hate to nitpick. I'm reminding you, but like I don't know, that just irked me. They're all just standing there in the back, and I'm like, guys, come on, if he's like being behind Zem, almost like console him. Like, why are you all just watching from the back? Like, let's go on to the last thing I have to say for this section of the video. In the final episode, we get a pretty touching story. Though it starts off on a bit of a different note. After the events of the Stepping Man arc, everyone's kind of gone off in their own little corners to do their own separate things, and the party is kind of drifted off from one another. And though it doesn't seem to be affecting everyone too much, you can definitely feel like there's space now between everyone, and they're starting to drift off just ever so slightly. That the group's not all together as it seemed to be just not too long ago. And while I say it doesn't affect everyone, it does affect Corin quite a lot. Corin up until now has been like I don't want to say she is a child, she's not, but she's pretty wide-eyed innocence thing going on. I'm sure there's better ways to explain it. Simple? Not too sure how to describe it, but I think you know what I'm talking about. And she notices how much they're drifting from one another, and it affects her the most because she wants to hang out with everyone, because after Karios, like, this is the biggest thing that's happened to her. And for positive this time, because now she has a group of people that she knows she can trust, that she can depend upon, that have her back, you know, vice versa, and she loves it and she wants to keep it. The thought of splitting from them because of whatever's going on at the moment, it makes her sad, and it's hard not to feel bad for her. It's like, no, everyone, just hang out for a day. No, don't make her sad. And she like goes off on her own, and you think like, oh, what's gonna happen? Is this where our group splits off? And then everyone comes by. No, they're not splitting away. They've got each other. They're here to support her, and it's so good. Oh, the feels. You know, up until now, I've been dunking on so much about this show. You could say I'm probably nitpicking way too much. Maybe I'm complaining about things that aren't even important. And what I will say about the show that excels so much is this found family dynamic, this found family theme. It's so good, that part of it, whatever you want to phrase it as, it is probably the best thing, if not one of the few good things about it. And I'm gonna be honest, if it wasn't touched upon like early in the show, I feel like I would have just dropped it, because like, what's the point of this? It's just a fantasy anime with a group of kind of cool characters. But no, this like found family type of thing going on, I love it, and I'm so happy that it's a reoccurring theme, or whatever the fuck you phrase it. It's so good, and it makes me it's like the main thing that kept me invested, and I love that invested thing, the found family type of thing. Curran's so happy they're all there for her, and they all hang out. The team raises the idea of maybe going after Karios, you know, to set up something in a later season. Maybe we're not gonna get that season. I don't know how well this did, but I saw nobody talk about this on Twitter or YouTube in my own circle, in the sub box that I have, or in any of the people I follow on Twitter. Like, so no discussion. So I do not know how well this did. I'm gonna assume it did not the best, but you know, that's from my perspective. Of course, you know, maybe in the manga it gets expanded upon later, that quest to take down Karios, but for the foreseeable future of this, I don't know. Anyway, the show goes out on a nice note as there's a fireworks festival thing going on, and then it plays the music and it goes to a bunch of vignettes of random characters we've seen before, even characters like Miral, who should be in hell right now. Nice little montage. It's not impressive, but you know, it's nice. We get this cute little scene of Nick buying a cotton candy, and then in the next scene, Leon in prison is given a cotton candy from a god. I don't know if that's right, if that's a good thing necessarily, but I wholesome, so wholesome. And I just wanted to mention it. Nice little note to end out on. Manga, we're talking about the manga now. The manga was better.
I agree with that.
Manga better. Manga better. Let's be real, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. The amount of changes, cuts, and artistic differences that usually come with adapting a manga to an anime are more common, which is an unfortunate thing in the industry. While I personally don't have the most varied touch on manga, I'm still trying to get into it myself. I've tapped into a few, most that I've failed to add to my mal, with like one exception, which one day I'm gonna talk about that, baby. But personally, I've seen a few happenings of changes from adaptations from manga to anime, and I've heard many more, which I am sure you are probably familiar with. And Ningen Fushin is no different, although to a, I suppose, lesser extent. Ningen Fushin's adaptation was pretty faithful. The issue with Ningen Fushin's adaptation from manga to anime is the small things, the minor little tidbits that eventually start to pile up into a grander issue of, wow, all of these things make it so much better. Why weren't they in the anime? And I could probably list those off, but then this video would be like 2 hours, and this is already like basically an hour. I don't know what this total runtime is because I haven't put it all together, so we're gonna keep things as short and sweet as possible on this section because, dear God, again, that time limit. This was supposed to be a fucking 20-minute long video, you know, originally. Anyway, moving on. We'll start off with the visual department of this. Do I need to say anything? I'm gonna just put some images on screen and let the comparisons flow through, and look at all this stuff. Look at all these scenes that are all different. I don't like the different scenes. They don't look good. They don't even look good in motion. That's usually like the plus with an anime. It's like, yeah, you get to see these animated, but the animation is trash. They're mostly just still images and a low frame rate, and not even a stylized Spider-Verse way. It just looks bad. And now look at these scenes. Look at all these chibi, cutesy, fun, cartoony moments. There are none of these in the anime. What happened, Geek Toys? I do like it when sometimes the anime does its own thing, and you do your own things. But in the stylization of the manga, you failed. What the fuck were you doing, Geek Toys? What were you doing? And in terms of the non-cosmetic stuff, the story and writing, again, it mostly is faithful to the manga. But there are little differences that eventually pile up. While again, don't want to go into all those because there's a lot, and I kind of want to leave some stuff in there for any curious people who, despite all of the spoiling I've done, might touch the source material to read. Some are quite noticeable and, dare say, better in the manga than the anime. Like, for instance, we actually start off with Nick's backstory, and it doesn't speedrun to a joke.
I was completely gutted.
Then I became an outlaw otaku!
It takes its time and works itself towards the sad outcome, and it just works way better. And not to mention the actual tales of the backstory itself, because it's not rushing forward to get to the other shit later on. It takes its time, and it's able to flesh out the actual backstory more. While I'm sure some people might not care about the little things, I do, and getting to see the criminal that screwed up like Nick's whole thing in the guild, I like that. Not to mention, we actually get a longer extended scene between Nick and Argus, his father figure, talking together. It's just delivered better. Well, I still think it's kind of dumb that Argus does kick his son out. Like, come on, give him a warning or something at least. I think it's better executed in the manga. Instead of Nick being dumped seemingly out of nowhere, she dumps him after he gets kicked out of the guild, treating him as if he has nothing now because he's worthless. No guild? Wow, you just suck then, bye. We've had like slightly more time with her before this, and in this scene, damn, she's evil. Look at that manga page. Wow, she a baddie. Dang, I wanted more of her. Why we kick her out like so early and then we don't see her again? I will say that the manga did not give us more Claudine. I mean, besides like this, she's gone again until the mathematics thing later on. So I mean, a little bit of a loss there. But dang though, I'm eating good with this panel. Ooh man. Then later, when Nick's trying to find other people to form a guild with, instead of him being a goofy little idiot that can't socialize, instead, it's explicitly shown that he has, maybe not PTSD is the right word, but he's got issues and he can't do it. He's too scared to talk. So then he goes to the table with the other people and has a drink. And in the following scene, you know, they do their whole like, we're adventurers, screwed over, everyone sucks, blah, blah, blah. Once they start to share their own stories, they relate to one another's struggles, and at parts they console one another, at least try to comfort one another. It's the little things that add up. Right after Nick proposes the idea of forming a party, all of them are hesitant about the idea because they've all been screwed over in the past, and it's very explicitly shown that this is what's happening. Compared to the anime where we only get reaction shots, and then in the following episode we just skip to them already partying up. Really, was it just that easy to move on after all the things you went through? No hesitation. Okay. They fight Pepsi Man. Okay, it's not Pepsi Man, but they fight a Pepsi Man lookalike guy who was the gooey monster in the anime. Pepsi Man's cousin over here looks cooler, in my opinion. And it's in like this strange, almost sci-fi-esque like white room. Like all the swords, instead of being like in a bunch of display cases, are in like a secret basement below. I don't know. I kind of dig it more. It looks otherworldly compared to what we got where it just looks like a modern day place. I mean, I guess it's kind of special. I don't know. I dig what they went with in the manga more. And I could go on. Really, I could. Originally, I had a bunch of other examples, but I had to cut it all down because this video is getting long enough as it is. So my point is, manga does a lot of cool shit. And unfortunately, a lot of it got either cut or changed in either subtle or big ways in the anime that I think were for the worse. But this doesn't conclude the manga section. No, because the manga isn't perfect. And this is where I get into a few of the positives that were done in the anime. Yep, this isn't just a shill of the manga. This is also gonna be a little bit of a little critique as well. But before we get onto that, I have a little interesting tidbit that I'm not really sure where to put, so I'll just fit it between the positives and the negatives, as I find it to be an interesting little change that I don't think can be concretely spoken as a positive or a negative. It's going to be more of a subjective thing depending on the individual. I noticed while reading the manga that the characterizations seem to be a bit tweaked in the anime. I threw up a scene comparison image earlier. I didn't really provide any context to that, but for this instance I'll just expand upon that because I think it's interesting to share. The manga seems to take the characters a bit more seriously, a bit more grounded, a bit more, I guess, realistic. I think the words I'm looking for is emotional, believable. With all the things they went through, it's reasonable for them to be a lot more angry or sad at the world. And in this scene comparison here in the manga, Nick is pissed to see Claudine, but not just pissed to see her again after, you know, what she put him through, but to see her messing with another guy. Like, poor dude, don't you dare make him another victim in your path of sorrows, wench. Whereas in the anime, instead of being like angry to see her, he's like, hey Claudine, what you doing? In this kind of like snarky kind of way. I don't know how to exactly phrase it, but I feel like it's some kind of like MCU-ification of the characters where they've all been like, well, we don't want people to be sad while watching it, we want them to have fun. So all of the characters have had their personalities tweaked so that they're cocky, wisecracking hero type of characters. I don't think I hate it, but I think after reading the manga, I think I prefer those versions rather than what we got in the anime. It's definitely an interesting change that you might not notice right away, but after like a couple of scenes, it clicks and you're like, hold on, something's not right here, something's different. It's interesting for sure. And what interpretations do you prefer? How they did it in the manga or the anime? Let me know in the comments. Alright, time to get into the negatives. It's a small thing, but I don't like how it doesn't feel like time passes after Nick gets dumped. He just kind of stands there in the rain, and almost instantly it's like Agate just spawns in to be like, hey, are you okay, mister? Whereas in the anime, it's more clear, like, he's been out here for a while now, and I think it's executed just a little bit better there. And it's not just that, but I liked the imagery of Nick sitting at the fountain. Yeah, I laughed at it before, like, ooh, it's soaking wet, I hope he doesn't fall in the fountain. But that image is genuinely just pretty striking. I don't know what it is. I like it. And in the manga, he's just standing in the middle of a street. If you're a returning viewer of mine who saw my video where I talked about a bunch of different forms of media and what I thought about them, you may recall when I talked about one anime in particular that I dislike ecchi. I don't like ecchi because it just kind of gets in the way of things. There was a time where I liked it. That time has passed for like over 5 years now. If I want something akin to that, there are places for it, and I don't think I need to specify what those places are. That being said, it's a shame that once I looked into the Ningen Fushin manga, the manga includes scenes of what I want to call ecchiisms. For instance, a scene where Nick trips over and, whoa, my hand is on your boob. What is this, Mankitsu happening? Really? The shit is so overdone. It's just cringe now. It's just bad. I mean, it's always been bad, but like, it's even more so because, like, come on, this is like a 2000s thing. It's 2023 now. Can we, like, move on? Okay, well, this did come out like a few years ago, but you know what I mean. And it's not just like that one scene in particular. There's another scene where they all get slimed on. Whoa, look at all the sticky substance on the girls. It's like, stop doing this erotic pinup shot of the two female characters. This is gross. The least you could do is apply this to the men as well, but no, this is made for a mostly male audience who are straight. At least I'm positive that's who this is designed for. I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of this blatant sexist objectification. Do it to everyone or do it to no one, please. What the fuck is this shit? I feel like someone in the comments is gonna say,
well, in this other scene, Nick takes his shirt off and Tiana goes, whoa, put it back on. So you're a hypocrite. Why didn't you mention that does happen to the guys?
My response to that is clearly for comedy, whereas the other scene is very clearly meant for other purposes. But if you disagree, that's fine. But you can pretend. You can pretend if you want. But come on, let's be real. Wink, wink, no judge. And while I'm talking about this, the two female characters constantly get these cover spreads, and it just irks me. Like, where's Zem and Nick? I know Zem gets literally nothing in the manga, but come on, like, throw him a cover. I know they do get like little things, but the amount of cover pages that these two characters get, I like them. But please, variety. Is that so much to ask that you give the male characters some nice artwork? Like, yes, they are in the manga, but like, come on, give them a cover. It irks me. It irks me very much. And yeah, that offhanded comment. Yeah, Zem gets practically nothing in the manga. You may recall I mentioned in the anime there was an arc dedicated to him. That is not in the manga. That was never adapted. That was from the light novel. Isn't that great that we never get to see beautiful artwork of that really good arc? Yay. But anyway, circling back around to the ecchi thing, what I did not know until very late into researching, I know, how dare of me to not do better research at the start of this whole project, is that in the beautiful ending to that one episode where Nick gives his whole speech like, is this what we want to do? Are we gonna be better off like this? Come on, guys. I say we make a party and do this instead. Paraphrasing. You may recall during that scene, there was a logo in the corner. 7. See this logo? Do you know who this logo belongs to? It's studio that mostly makes hentai. You know, I kind of want to make videos in the future where I talk about hentai, because I think sometimes it could be an interesting topic of discussion. I don't think I'd be talking about this soon. What the fuck? Yeah, 7 helped animate Ningen Fushin. And it's not just that, but I didn't know this until I scrolled even further down the wiki page. But 7 is responsible for one of the worst anime adaptations to ever come out. That being King's Game, the animation.
What's an anime that was funny purely because it was just so fucking awful?
That's my entire career. Just watching bad anime and laughing at it.
I feel like when I watched King's Game for the first time, I fucking lost it. I couldn't stop laughing at how shit this anime
No, King's Game was bad. And then there was the dub,
Oh,
which just
God,
made it...
I
didn't watch the dub. Is it bad?
I felt so bad because it was obvious that, like, you know, it wasn't on their priority.
Yeah.
And, like, it was rough, dude. It was rough.
That's a real shame as well, because like when I heard that the King's Game anime was like fucking horrible, I was like, oh man, I kind of like the manga though. So it's like really a shame that the anime just like completely fucked it.
I can't remember because I only watched 2 episodes before I was like, I've seen enough.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied. Like I was just like, fuck, dude, this is fucking awful.
I think the scene I burst out laughing at was I think there was a challenge where the guy had to sleep with the girl or something like that. It's the girl is like the main guy's girlfriend or crush. I can't remember what it was. But so it's his best friend who has to sleep with this girl who is the main character's girlfriend. I'm just going to say girlfriend now. And so he doesn't want to do it. So he doesn't want to betray his bro like that.
Yeah.
So the main character is trying to fucking argue with this guy to sleep with his girlfriend. and so he refuses. So what he does, his solution is to fucking deck the guy in the face until he's unconscious. And then he turns to his girlfriend in the dub and just do it while he's unconscious, please. And I'm just like, oh my god! So you just
so bad.
I mean, that's basically what happened. It's fucking awful. But the way the anime played it so seriously contrasted to how awful the situation was and how it was being portrayed was just like the juxtaposition just made me fucking laugh, man. Like it's like obviously rape isn't a joke and everything like that, but this anime was so awful that you couldn't help but laugh. Is what I was trying to say.
Oh my god.
With Geek Toys' lack of experience and Studio 7's incompetency combined, it all makes sense now why the production of Ningen Fushin's anime adaptation was just meh. Geek Toys got help from a studio that could only deliver the mediocre or just bad. If only they requested from a H studio that made competent shit like, I don't know, Bunny Walker. Hell, maybe Antagonist, perhaps even both of them. But one thing's for sure, and especially on Antagonist's side, is that they need to get away from NTR for a bit. Jesus Christ, what is that shit? Give them some other things to work on. Ugh, please. They animate too well. Get them other work. It's just funny to think that they needed help from a hentai studio to get their fantasy show out. And while I'm still talking about this, it's strange to think that the anime completely cut all of those ecchiisms out, despite the fact they got help from a hentai studio. Think about that. They asked for help from a studio that produces horny animations, and they cut out all of the horny from the anime adaptation. How does that work? That's so weird, right? You'd expect there to be more, but there's none now. That's funny. Anyway, I'm glad that the anime has none because I'm happy Curran isn't objectified with perverted camera angles every other fucking shot. Come on, do we need to see her ass? Does she need to be posed in this way? Like, come on, guys. Curran's best girl. Don't do her this way. It's not right. Look at her. She deserves the world. Come on, artist. What you doing? What are you doing? See, I didn't like that about the manga. During the whole mathematics battle, Claudine is using a magical item to cheat. This item that she's hiding from everyone allows her to telepathically communicate with Beck, which gives her an advantage, as he's doing his own thing away from the scene to assist Claudine. During the scene, Tiana uses her magic detection and realizes something suspicious is going on with someone in the distance, and decides to check it out, with Kizuna and Zem following behind. Once they arrive at the scene of suspicion, they end up finding Beck clearly cheating to assist Claudine. And Kizuna like sneaks up on him and he's like, hey, this is the answer. And then clueless for like 2 seconds, Beck's like, oh, thanks, dude. And then he realizes like, wait a minute, you should be here. He gets caught, he gets taken back to where everyone's battling, and it's like, the jig is up. It's such a good moment. That little interaction
it really does feel after looking at the manga that something's missing. Not just the lead up to Beck being caught, but to that interaction, which I just love. One of the best moments, honestly, in the anime for me. You know, I kind of just realized after sharing that Studio 7 thing that nothing will really stand in comparison. So I think I'm just gonna share one last little thing that was on my mind, and then just move on to the conclusional thoughts. I mentioned earlier that the manga never adapted Zem's arc, and that's because the manga didn't get that far. The ended not too long after the casino episode, or storyline, whatever you want to call it. There are a couple of theories as to why the manga stopped where it did. Maybe the manga in the first place was only made to advertise the light novel, or perhaps the manga was used as a blueprint for the anime to closely follow along. Whatever the case, it seems like there's no outright confirmation, unless there's some Japanese website I am not aware of, but through my limited search results, I've not found anything noteworthy, just mostly speculating people who seem to be disappointed by where the manga left off, and I don't blame them because it's not really an ending, it's just a really weak note to end on. Some people believe that the manga may have stopped so that the author could focus back on the novel, and again, I don't know if that's true or if that's just further speculation because I haven't found any confirmation. So if anyone watching this knows more about the situation, be it a news page or a tweet, feel free to share below. It would be nice to have a resolution to this seeming mystery going on. Well, all in all, it's just a shame. There are more positives than negatives I have about both the anime and the manga, but as I said earlier, this video is already long enough. So let me just say, though I have a bunch of issues with the manga itself, I've made that clear, I hope. Even with those issues, I would still like to read on from it, even if right now it seems like the manga has been discontinued, or at least has put on hiatus. Whatever the case, I hope at some point it comes back, because I would genuinely like to see that Zem arc have a manga adaptation with the gorgeous artwork of the manga style, and I hope one day we get to see that. With that said, let's conclude the video and answer the question, did Ningen Fushin deserve better?
It's gonna hurt me so bad. I've been looking for trouble. I know it sounds so strange. I've been waiting for you my whole life. I've been waiting.
In conclusion, Ningen Fushin's a pretty mixed series. Did it deserve better? Yes? No? Well, I want to say yes, though there are a variety of issues that I think hold the series back from maximizing its full potential, such as a rather lackluster world building with questionable design choices like the modern aesthetics and modern elements that just seem to be there for set dressing, or a lack of creativity. Like, I was getting like all fan theory mode. Ooh, is this all from like ancient past stuff? Maybe this is in the future, and we're now in like a new age where all modern stuff like phased out because something happened long ago, and now there's idols because idol culture is still persisted, but there's like no explanation. Is that a big deal? I don't know. It irks me personally, but don't misconstrue it. That is absolutely nothing in comparison to the weak points of the writing, like some of the backstories and a whole lot of odd moments that I think could have been improved upon, like Kizuna's scene. In the manga, he at least gets like this kind of foreshadowing line, kind of setting up that he's going to be transformed in the following scene, but I don't know. I kind of just wish we got to see Kizuna in his actual form, and we could see the character's reactions to it then and there, instead of it being done later once he's in the Adventurers Guild room, and then we get to see him there. It's just jarring anyway. In the manga, I want to say he has like a slightly better scene there because it feels like his personality is more established, whereas in the anime, I couldn't quite get a grasp on what he was supposed to be like until a few episodes afterwards. But honestly, I'm like 50-50 on if I really want to count it, because I'm unsure if I'm really convinced they did much in the first place. So there's definitely parts that could have used better work. And don't even get me started on all the ecchiisms in the manga. Ugh. And they did Zem so dirty. Like, though I did mention in the anime he didn't get much until the very end, at least he got something, you know? Whereas in the manga, boy, he got nothing, man. He got nothing. Not to mention all the production issues of the anime. Like the fact that they had to bring in a hentai studio just to help them make that fantasy show. It's so ridiculous. I know I'm repeating myself, but like, again, like they removed those ecchiisms, which I'm thankful for, but it's just really weird to think about that the hentai studio just like, despite that connection, those scenes aren't here. You'd think there would be more. They double down instead of taking steps back, but it's just so strange. How does that happen? Like, for real, how does that happen? It's so weird. Did they want us to appeal to a wider audience? Is that it? Like, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's so weird. Like, I'm happy, but like, it's so strange. How does that happen? But despite all the issues I have with the production and all these other elements, the personalities of the characters, regardless of whether they were heightened in the anime or they were more grounded and realistic in the manga, these characters I were emotionally kind of invested with. I wanted to see where their journeys were headed. And unfortunately, we only got like a slice of that, with a lot of turns which I feel could have been done better. It's not something I quite touched upon, but I really do feel like in places they blew their load too early. As much as I like the Tiger Guild, I kind of feel like they should have been saved for much later almost. Like to have them appear not too long after the formation of the guild, and they're just here and gone the moment they posed a threat to the party. It's just a shame. And it's not just my thirst for Claudine. Like, come on. Beck wasn't even given any amount of depth at all. I wouldn't even blame people if they just forgot he was even there if they were watching this or reading it. Oh yeah, Beck was there. What's his deal? Is he just an asshole? I don't know. The series didn't give us anything with him, so I guess he's just an asshole doing this for fun, maybe? I don't know. The series gave us nothing. Yeah, I like these characters and I want to see more of them. Both those from the main characters to the side characters. Even if we've kind of headed in a place where I'm not the happiest with, again, I would have liked it if things were done a little bit differently, maybe a bit slower paced and saved elements for later. And probably altered in different ways. I still want to see where this series is headed, be it anime or manga. I want to know where these characters are headed. Apparently they're supposed to fight some demon lord god thing, which was barely established at all. Was that an important thing? Oh god, am I adding more negatives to the anime this late? Anyway. Despite my grievances, I like Ningen Fushin. I don't think it's exactly a hidden gem. I do think it has something special. The found family dynamic it has to offer is nice, if maybe lacking in some areas. It definitely played up the AMV, honestly. And though I do have issues with the manga, I would still rather read on from that if it were to continue. Though the anime has added some good things, the visuals annoy me too much. I would much rather see the manga, even if I did have to skip a page every now and again just to get over like the ass shots and objectification, which is clearly just done for fan service, which if you're into that, cool. I am not big on it. I'm not opposed to it entirely. There's just different variables at play, and it just did not work for me here at all. But more power to you who like that stuff and you enjoyed it here. I'm not gonna take that away from you. Feast away. I think Ningen Fushin is pretty good. Not flawless. Very flawed, in fact. But I don't think it's bad. I think it's pretty good. I just think the writing could have been cleaned up a bit. Some of the story beats could have been fleshed out a bit better. And the anime required a better budget or just a team of individuals with a little bit more talent. God, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like, how did this get made? Oh, they really tried their best to save on the budget or something. I don't know. But the production, man. Damn it. But that's enough for me. Now I want to know what you think. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Were you a little bit more mixed like I am? What were your favorite parts or least favorite parts? Share below in the comments. I'd love to read and hear what you have to say, whether they're agreeing or disagreeing. Please share below, but please try to keep it civil. And that'll be all.
If you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot to me if you left a like. Subscribing part is entirely up to you, but I'd like to add, if anybody enjoyed this and wants to see more, but you decide to take one look at my channel and see, hey, all of these things are like gaming videos, what the heck, this isn't what I want to watch this channel for. Don't worry, because this is the type of content that I plan to make going forward. I just want to talk about anime, movies, shows, games, and list my thoughts on them. It's gonna be a lot of anime though. All that other stuff is probably gonna be like the one-off in a sea of weebery. So if this at all was entertaining or informative to you and you want to hear more, then stick around, please. I have quite a lot of videos planned out for the future of this channel. Some old things, some new things, some underrated things, and obviously some mainstream things because, you know, you gotta talk about those every once in a while. And quite a few hot takes. I do tend to have those on around here. Stay tuned for what those may be. One of those videos I have planned, which will be the next one on this channel, besides maybe an unrelated short, because I kind of want to do those on the side if I've got free time, because they're fairly easy to do since they're under a minute. The next big channel video will be about isekai, about a lot of recent ones, and, well, since this video took forever, some newish ones. It'll be sort of like a recommendation video, but not everyone's gonna be a banger. So there's gonna be quite a few shows that I'm gonna rip into because though there are hidden gems in the isekai world, there are quite a few not so hidden gems, more so glaring piles of shit. There's gonna be a lot of praising, a lot of shilling, just about as much as stay the heck away from this piece of media. It is so mid or it is so bad. So if that sounds interesting, stick around for that. I'm gonna be talking about multiple different shows and hopefully I can keep that under 30 minutes this time. Christ. God. And I just want to say special thanks to Laviarray for sharing some voice lines so I could recreate our initial reaction to that first episode. Thank you so much, broski. You're so great and awesome and totally cool. If anybody likes to hear people talk about different forms of media, I mean, you probably should if you got this far, right? And especially enjoy it when people don't hold their true thoughts back and they just go all out, whether it's positive or negative. Go check out Laviarray's channel. Though a lot of it is Sonic related, there are now quite a few that aren't so Sonic, with Sentai Don Brothers, the new Illumination Super Mario movie, and Across the Spider-Verse. And I feature in the latter two, among other cool people. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'll drop a link below in the comment to his channel. Even if the subject matter doesn't sound interesting to you, depending on what that might be, of course, hopefully at the very least there'll be good background audio for whatever game you're playing for that daily grind. I'm DerpADuh, and I hope to see you around. See ya.